Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to have you again here to join me on this Christmas special, the Right Way Business Broadcast podcast that we're hosting. It's really good to have you. Appreciate you joining us today. And so much to go through, really. But hopefully, just helping you to set the scene for 2024. So I'll go straight into it. Please get a pen and paper. It's really important that there's some things that may just pique your interest as we go through this presentation. It's no more than sort of 55 minutes. You'll have the opportunity to obviously ask questions as we go through the presentation. I'll be picking them up, and my folks here will pick them up as well on all the chat forums. So we're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So please, use the chat facility there, and we'll be able to pick up all the elements and questions as we come through as well. But it's really great to have you. And of course, just love to just hear from you and to ensure that you're hearing us loud and clear anyway. So without much ado, let's go straight into the plan in terms of what we're trying to do today. And hopefully that will just give you a sort of flavor of what we're trying to achieve. We're going to be looking at sort of creating a strategic plan for 2025 based on 2024 as well. So using the learnings that we have had over 2024, and I appreciate a lot of you as it's been a bit of a difficult road, a bit of ups and downs. Certainly for us, there's been ups and downs as well. And it's really then important then to how do we take that information, how do we take those learnings and apply it for 2025? So let's go through that in every aspect as well. And hopefully that will allow you to really understand where we're going through and what we're trying to achieve today. Just to give you a little rundown in terms of us, if you don't know us, I'm sure many of us, you know us now by now anyway, but certainly as an organization, W Square Solutions, we've been going in the marketplace in terms of helping companies to grow. Our strapline is entrepreneurs, coaching entrepreneurs. So we have a small team of people who understand what it is to start, grow, and exit businesses. And in that way, we can have that affinity and empathy with business leaders, helping them to grow their business. For me personally, I've been involved in this for about 20 odd years. We've seen a myriad of businesses win awards through growth. And as a result of that, and from the presentations, the podcasts, I'm very prolific on LinkedIn. We've seen a lot of people grow their business and also help them through that process of exiting their business. And I've got a little number there, 14, sort of a roll of honor on our wall of people who have gone on to successfully grow their business to a sufficient level where it allows them to maximize that value in creating value for them and their family going forward as well. And obviously, we'd love to do the same for you. So today's talking points really is about, again, setting the scene in terms of making sure, that you understand the clear processes for setting the framework for a successful 2025. Looking at the State of Union, just a little bit navel gazing ahead, what we're hoping to see and achieve in the marketplace. Not achieve, I suppose, to notice and to be cognizant of and aware. And then obviously then we will then look at taking the strategic planning purposes and learnings from 2024 and how we can apply that to 2025. And then clearly two elements which are super important. It's easy to come up with a vision, but it's a bit more harder executing the plan. So we'll look at about little ways and little tips of executing the plan. Reviewing and reporting, clearly super important to get your people on board and having the right metrics to review what's going on. Because if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. So it's super important that you understand the elements of review and reporting. And then I'm going to take a step back and focus about you, about what about you, and obviously talk about this concept of time is money, and really look into why you as an individual need to look after yourself as well. Because if you can look after yourself as a business leader, clearly your business will follow in that aspect. And if you stay to the end, only if you stay to the end, we have a Christmas gift that I'd love to share with you as well to help you again, help you cement some of the stuff that we're going to be going through into your business and to move it forward as fast and effectively so you can have the best possible 2025 going forward. So hopefully that's enough in terms of direction of travel. And hopefully that you'll follow and again, ask questions as we go through the presentation as well. Right, so let's talk about vision and why vision is important for business. And I wanted to just really set the scene with two key elements of framework in the vision, because we do have vision, we do understand what we want to do, but invariably, sometimes that just gets focused and muddied. The air may be the year may be difficult in terms of achieving what we want to do. And it's good to take that step of taking a step back, reflecting and saying, okay, what is the vision still relevant? Is it still true? Is that still what I want to achieve for my life and for my business as well? So it's worth taking that step back because, again, things changed. We've seen so much changes. Look at the politics in America. That's obviously been created this year. In the UK, and we've seen some of the changes in Europe as well and in the Middle East and obviously all the other stuff. So there's a lot of changes that could easily scupper what we want to achieve and to do in our businesses. So really, really worthwhile just taking a step back and refreshing what that looks like and what that means in the business. And so the first element is that strategic intent. In other words, what you're trying to achieve. And those of you who know me will know I'm always looking ahead and saying, okay, what do you want to achieve over the next 3 years? What's that end goal? What's that destination that you want to really achieve? And what we do as an organization in helping our customers to grow is really and this is what makes us really unique and different, is that we help people to understand the keys and the steps to work to that end goal. And I think for most organizations, that's the difficult part because, I've only got limited resources. I've only got limited cash. I've got, a certain amount of activities. I haven't got the customer base that could help me to get to where I want to be. What is all those things? What are the key things that can hinder you from achieving your strategic goals and your intent? So, but first of all, you got to frame it. You got to paint that picture. If everything was in tow, if you had all the tailwinds to be able to get you to where you want to go, what does that end goal look like? So again, sometimes you may have that already. And if you do have that already, what is it that has changed? Is anything changed? Or is that still intact? And therefore that review and critique of that strategic intent is worthwhile because it helps you to set the scene and ensure that you're going in the right direction. The other aspect, which is super important to get your head around in that respect, is around just understanding the landscape, whether the markets have changed, whether your customers have changed, whether new opportunities are there that are going to impact and influence your strategic intent. And I think for me, really, I don't know, certainly over the last 10 years, I don't know about you, but the market is just so dynamic. Normally you just get that, steady state and you probably can predict what's going on. But the volatility, and I think a lot of it's come from the banking crisis in 2000s. Over the last 20 years, the volatility in understanding and predicting market trends is crazy. I find it really super difficult. And I'm in the market day in, day out. So my gosh, I'm sorry for you guys as well, because you'll probably find it just as much as difficult, even worse. And so really just understanding the dynamics, what's changing, is really important. But you've got to get your head around it, because it's so easy when we're doing our day-to-day jobs to not take ourselves back out and really look ahead and say, well, okay, what is happening? Well, how's the market changing? What's the competitor landscape looking like? Is government regulation or local regulation impacting what we're going to do as a business? I think those key questions are super important as well. So that just helps you to frame what it looks like in terms of the vision as well. And the other aspect is resources. I was talking to somebody the other day about you know the difficulties now in really not only getting good staff but keeping them, and it's really, really a tough gig. I appreciate it's all across the board. It's across all systems. You've got this transient workforce moving very quickly, stay no more than 1, 2 years at times. Especially if the more younger folk. And it's, how do you deal with that? How do you create a business which you got this revolving door of skills. You train them up, you invest in them, you send them on courses, and yet they leave because somebody seduced them with a 10K packet and work from home for another 2 days a week. So they're going to only work or go to the office only 1 day or 3 days, whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. And that's a big issue. It's a big issue in our changing in resources. Appreciate the work from home element is starting to wane a bit. The big corporates are saying, look, you guys need to be in there 3 days, 4 days a week. I've got obviously businesses in the US, and even now, through the change in administration, even the government organizations are saying, we want you in the office. So there's a good and bad element. I think the horse is bolted in that respect for me, really, in terms of the work from home element. But what is very clear, and what the big organizations are recognizing, and I certainly say for my customers, creativity is enhanced when you are together. Let me repeat that. Creativity and productivity is enhanced when you are together. You cannot beat people working together in close proximity. The creativity, the buzzing, the iron sharpening iron, of getting the creativity, bouncing ideas off one another, super important as you move forward. So I just encourage you to ensure that your organization and more importantly, your business is set up to really get the best out of your people working together collaboratively and creatively going forward as well. One aspect that I want to really just focus on around is just giving you sort of a heads up in relation to the State of the Union as well, because it's so easy for us as business leaders. We set a course in terms of what we want to do, and then we get our head turned in terms of the latest news, the latest activities in our world and around us as people, and ultimately that's really, really hard because as you can say, we hear wars, we hear rumors of wars, we hear changes in regime changes. Obviously, just recently we just seen some of the regime change in Syria, the ongoing war in Israel, and the Gaza Strip, and all the aspects around the Ukraine and Russia, and tensions in China and North Korea and even South Korea imposing martial law, whatever it is, changing regimes in America and Europe and obviously UK. So, stuff is happening all over the world. And it's really easy to be blindsided by some of the stuff going on in our world. And, we were here. Is there a recession? Is there not a recession? Growth in the UK stalling. Starmer, the Prime Minister, definitely running around the world trying to drum up investment. Brexit is causing a big issue in terms of UK being a destination of a potential going forward. Budget has probably, and whatever your political persuasion, the budget has obviously caused a bit of a nervousness in the marketplace for investment, rightly or wrongly, but it has. And therefore, the whole host of different things. Is that going to cause a recession? I don't know. I'm not the economist. If I did, I've been making a lot of money anyway. But certainly those issues abound in our world and certainly in our face. Inflation, the specter of inflation globally as well as locally, still looming and still not gone away totally. Cost of living, again, that's why you're getting this sort of transient movement of people feeling that their mortgages have gone up twice. Therefore, what I need to do, I need to get a new job, and all those sort of things are causing big dynamic changes and uncertainty within our businesses as well. And obviously you've got technological impacts going through the push for more and more AI use. I've seen one particular company claim how they've used AI to reduce 34% of their administration workforce. Now, ideally, that's sort of a cost, sort of a service type business, but it's just showing the pace of change that AI is having on our organizations. And that's not going to change. That's going to continue. And my question to you is that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to lay off your people, but your people need to be cognizant of how to use all these tools to improve productivity within the organization. And I think that's the sort of mantra I'm pushing to my clients. How can you use these emerging technologies to really gain a march on your competitors and to service your customers more efficiently and better as well? And the other aspect is as well is that as leaders, we can't control all these elements. We can't control the marketplace and how it's thing, the cost of living, inflation, recessionary, wars and rumors of war. We can't control those things. But what we can control is the control of the things that are in our purview, the things that are in our domain. We control the controllables. You can understand your costs. You can understand your agreements. You can understand the people that you have and how you motivate them. Control the controllables. And if you do that, you have a better chance of ensuring that you mitigate the risk associated with some of these things when they come and land at your desk or land in your marketplace, And that's the key thing. Ensuring that you have the resilience in the organization, whether it's people, having the cash in your business, which allows you to be able to react appropriately and to take any shocks of supply issues or whatever it is. Control the controllables. Take the things that are in your domain and control them appropriately and effectively. So the key discussion that we had, obviously, clearly from the from the title, really was how do we use 2024 to build a good solid plan for 2025. And I just wanted to focus around that in a little while as well, so this allows us to really take time around those key elements. And I've got an example here of a company and principally working around sort of electrical contractors, around sort of data centers, etc. And it just shows how what they've had, and again, just gives you a sort of an element of the goals that they've had and they've achieved for 2024. And you see that there's a sort of an increase in their sectors in terms of where they put their energies in, data center, commercials, residential, public sector, and business to consumer, B2C type things, wherever. And some comments in terms of what they have achieved, and I think that's important as well. So what I'm trying to say is that really take time to look at the key, this doesn't have to be a massive war and peace exercise or financial, planning piece. And if you've got people who can do that, then absolutely 100% do that. It's really super important, and it will make a massive difference in terms of understanding the detail. But even if it's just to get a high level understanding, that sort of high level in terms of the summary of where your business has moved, upwards or downwards, in this case, upwards, but upwards or downwards, where has your business moved? What has been the revenue that you've achieved? What is the revenue that you can achieve in the future? So again, it sets the scene. Okay, all right, where are the levers that can allow us to grow next year? Or are we going to be growing next year? Some of the things that are talked about in terms of emerging markets, new technology, new competitor entrance into the marketplace, are they going to impact those key areas of the sectors that we're involved with, as you can see on this particular graph. And therefore, it's really, really important to get some forensic elements about it, get your sales teams and account managers to understand customer service, whatever it is. What are the key things? Are we seeing more movement in this area? Should we put more focus on that? And that allows you to then to say, okay, right, we need to focus on this particular market area. Therefore, we need a marketing plan to reflect boosting that. And how do we then ensure that we protect this area? We see our gross margins being impacted on this particular marketplace. What can we do to be able to ensure that we protect that, protect our key market base, key customer base going forward? All these questions are essential to allow you to sort of use 2024 as a means of platform in 2025. Because the problem is, as you well know, you end up doing the same old, and you know what? You'll get the same old results going forward. And it's about, you know, at the end of the day, what can we do that's in our control to move the dial forward for some of these things? What are the issues? Where are the gaps in resources, processes, systems, etc., etc., etc.? And we will just touch on some of those going forward as well, going through it. And, you know, the investment modeling is really important because, again, we want a return on some of the things, and it may be some of the stuff, maybe an investment in relation to equipment. I was talking about AI, systems, processes, reorganization, and how do they phase and how do they impact going forward in your year as well. And the other aspect as well, which is really much important, is cash flow. Because sometimes it may be that, you know, the modeling that you have and the investments that you have in particular areas is going to demand a more higher cash in the front end of the year before you start to see that benefit come through at the end of the year. And it's important to model that and to really be clear about that, because no point in putting a lot of investments into something, it doesn't happen, and before you know it, the whole business is hamstrung because it's not able to have the cash flow to maintain existing business going forward. Really be super clear, model that over the whole year and ensure that your investment profiles are able to be affordable and your cash flow is affordable as you go forward in building your plan. And I make no mistake, those who know me, know my writings and musings, will know this really, really super well. You've got to have to look after your existing customers. That is number one on the whole process of sustainable business. And I think, you know, it's quite easy for us. I mean, some of you I know love the new shiny toy, like the new entrance, the exciting entrance into a new marketplace, the new product coming into the business. And all that is important. All that is good, because obviously I'm a scientist. I've got patents galore to my name. I do understand the power of innovation to transform in businesses from mundane to exceptional. I've done it, got the T-shirt, and got the patents to prove it. But the bottom line is that it's already irrelevant. All patents are irrelevant. Innovations are irrelevant. Any service, new service is irrelevant if you haven't got customers who are willing to buy the product because you're not solving the problem. And this lovely, lovely chart I always trot out from every time I do a presentation is from Philip Yancey, the ex-McKinsey guy. And he's, you know, did some review of about 50,000 businesses. And he did a little sum up of those elements in terms of what it is to look after customers. And so you can, at the top one, you see the cost of retaining the current customer is one time. In other words, you've got the customer. They know you, they understand your products, and it's really easy for you to build a relationship with them. You don't have to sell to them anymore. They know of you, you've got an account with them, etc. One time. The cost of acquiring a new customer is 5 to 10 times. And what's that involved? Clearly, a sales force, your marketing campaign, your Facebook campaigns, your social media campaigns, all those costs in terms of gaining awareness, having foot soldiers on the ground, trying to identify your key customers, it costs money. And that's 5 to 10 times. But look at the bottom bar chart. The cost of winning back a lost customer, 50 to 100 times. And I'm in the UK. I tell you what, as Brits, we vote with our feet. We don't even say to people, sorry, you screwed up and whatever it is. We just go and don't communicate at all with those suppliers or people that we are doing business with. Very much that way. In my other business in the US, very much more open, saying, look, you messed up, then this is the reason you messed up. Us Brits, we don't even say anything. We just go. And I think the problem is that once you've lost a client, it is super hard to get them back, especially if you've really summary made a real mess up of, I'm going to say something a bit more inappropriate, but anyway, certainly if you messed up big time with a particular customer, it's super hard to get them back. Unless that person dies or a new person comes in place to build a new relationship, forget it. The memory, it just lingers on. They just don't want to know. The experience that they've had with you is so bad. Forget getting them back as a customer. And you don't want the situation where you're creating leaky buckets of customers in your business. You want to ensure that the processes are there to be able to help customers to be delighted, to be excited about doing business with you, to be feeling that they're not shafted in any way in relation to prices, costs, or service, and that you're doing a great thing to solve their problems, and that you're empathetic to their needs on a daily basis. And that's what customers need, and that's what is important to sustain businesses going forward as well. So I'll make no mistake in actually talking about the importance of doing that. And as you look at that from those lenses of resources, investment, customers, cash flow, go back to where you feel that the business needs, and whether those projections that you've had in terms of your goals, in terms of revenue and profitability, are realistic. Because again, by looking at the numbers from a different lens and getting out all these all these information that you have around the business, is then makes it a lot easier to start say, okay, what are the things that we did well? What are the things that we did not do well? And then take the things that you did really well, patch up or improve the things that you didn't do well, and set those breakthrough projects which allowed you to ensure that you're able to capitalize and to maximize your business potential in 2025. So like I said, that's the easy bit. The navel gazing, thinking, reviewing, planning is important. The big one is about executing the plan. And I just wanted to just really briefly talk about aspect of that as well. And I mentioned it before just a little while ago, the importance of what I call at the bottom, breakthrough projects. Identify those things that are going to move the dial forward for you. And if they are doing the same as before, but better or bigger, for example, you had a marketing campaign that was incredible, and you had the opportunity to be able to maximize that in terms of, let's say, leads generation or inbound generation as well. Why not put a little bit more money in it and get some more out of it? So the fact that you've measured it, you measure success of it, and you see where the impact has been in terms of your customer acquisition, then utilize that. Said, okay, let's put some more money in. Let's increase the budget there by 20% or 25%. And the areas that are not so great, then reduce that and focus and put that money or activity into another area, which allows you to move forward. So creating those breakthrough projects, these are the things that are saying, these are the goals and the actual objectives that we want to use to move the dial forward, is really, really important. And more importantly, the nice thing about doing that, it gets everybody involved. And I've got clients who have used particular, for example, lean, which is a sort of manufacturing breakthrough type activity, which helps to improve productivity in manufacturing businesses. They've used it as a sort of key topic as their breakthrough project, and utilizing, getting that sort of thinking and culture within their business to massive success. And there's been some incredible developments at the back end of this year because of it, because of exactly doing that, using the beginning of the year, setting the framework, driving that through the organization, getting that culture change and understanding, around the whole principles of lean. And then when they've come to do a really, really big project, super easy, because everybody was bought in onto that process and understanding of what they needed to do going forward as well. And then again, on those projects that you have, be smart about it. Set the goal settings, which allows you to be able to have some key goals, whether it's for teams or for individuals. Let everybody see what they do matches up to the breakthrough projects that are going to move the business forward. And when people have purpose, folks, when they have purpose, they can see what they're doing is making a difference. It makes their job a lot more easy to look at and to say, okay, yeah, I'm making a real difference to this business because of what I do. Doesn't matter whether it's working on a machine, whether it's behind this reception desk. What are the goals that are going to move the dial forward for you, which allows you to then to hook in people's objectives and understanding of what they do and how that can work and move the objectives of the overall business forward as well. So that's the aspect of the sort of, just engaging, getting your people on board, super important, and having the metrics around that to do that. And obviously creating the metrics allows you then to be able to review and report. And remember, what I've said really is that what tends to happen is that we create this sort of next stage plan, but what tends to happen is that it's just sticks in the drawer and we don't review it. It's super important to review on a regular basis, whether it's in a board meeting or whether it's every quarter, personally or with your key lieutenants. Whatever you need to do, you need to review these things because, again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, the landscape is changing dynamically so fast that sometimes if you don't review things on a regular basis, the time you get to it is too late. Somebody has come in, competitor has come in and taken your key customer. You haven't missed a particular regulatory document that you should have issued out. Whatever it is, it's because you're so in the weeds of the business that it's really difficult to take that step back out and say, okay, what are we doing? So every quarter, my encouragement to you, every quarter, take a time to review and report back, on regular dashboards. Now, clearly, you're not going to have the dashboards above your head. Some of you may do have that, but doesn't that be great? Five more metrics, what you're doing. Based on those breakthrough projects, breakthrough objectives, what you're trying to achieve. And again, having that regularly reported by somebody in the organization is super helpful. I guarantee you, super helpful. Once you are focused on the objectives, it's super easy to be able to really, again, take the next step forward and more importantly, be agile in your business going forward. So, and obviously, as part of that process, again, it makes it's just obvious. Well, it should be obvious, but again, it's so easy when things are really busy to miss having regular meetings with your key people, teams, and individuals. And I've known that many years, setting one-to-ones with those key lieutenants, having regular team meetings. It's all about the people folk. If you get your people on board and engage, life becomes a lot easier. It really does. All right. So my final bit is about you. And ultimately, what can we take from 2024 into 2025? And I think for me, really, I try and do this around this time as well, in the sense of what are the things I'm doing to help move the business forward. And I'm really conscious that, if we do the same old, and we get the same result, as Einstein says, it's, to be fair, a little bit about insanity going forward, to be fair. But we don't want that. We want the opportunity to really be able to sort of say, okay, what is it that we need to do in several aspects of our lives personally that's going to allow us to be the best version of ourselves? Let me say that again. What are you going to do in your life that's going to allow you to be the best version of yourself, that allows you to move the business forward more faster, effectively, with excellence, whatever it is that you did in 2024. So I really want to just take time to really reflect on that, and sort of four main areas really. But the first thing is really just to talk about not about you, but as I get older, I'm really more guarded with my time. I really am. And I'm talking about not in terms of guarded in relation to what is the time that I'm using, expending? I've only got 24 hours in a day. How can I use that 24 hours to maximize it? Because the problem is, as you well know, once your time is gone, it is gone. And I'm looking at the time already, and my time is flying. It is flying in this little podcast. But time is money. And if you look at it from that perspective, what is the return on my time that I'm getting in a day? What are the things that I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing? And that may be simple exercise to some of you now. Make a list of things I should be doing and things I should not be doing. And the things that you should not be doing, can you delegate out? Can you, or raise your competency so that, it's the effectiveness becomes more useful to you? So those things are super important. Time is money. And in that respect, then there's sort of four elements I want you to really focus on about you. And the first one that I want to talk about is, am I using my time effectively to get as close to my key customers and to maintain relationship with my key customers and core customers? Because I mentioned that before. You lose a customer, it's gone. And it's all about relationships, folks. You know that. I know that. We all know that. It's all about relationships. And if you have a great relationship with a customer and don't take them for granted and really trying to seek to understand their needs, you'll have a customer for life, because you're constantly being empathetic to try and understand the issues that they have and willing to bring products and services to solve their problems. Really important. Am I using my time? Is my time in the week spent talking to my key customers, to my counterpart CEOs and MDs and business leaders in those organizations? Am I spending my time at least once or twice a week to do that? Super important to ask you a question, because if you're not, and you find yourself as the business grows removed from your key customers, that's a big red flag. You've got to get back and at least have the opportunity to speak to your customers on a regular basis. The second aspect that I want to really talk about is, are you taking time as well to develop the skills of your key people, your key lieutenants in the organization? Because ultimately that is super important. You want to build resilience in the organization. You want to build skills that allow people to delegate effectively. And therefore, it's really super important that it allows you to do that. So again, it comes back. What are you doing in relation to developing the skills of your key people? That is really, really important as well. So something to really consider and reflect on as well. What's time? Are you spending one-on-ones with those key lieutenants? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Am I working with those teams to help them to be the best that they can be and be clear about the objectives that they have going forward? And the third one is about being the best version of yourself, best version of me. And again, as you get older, you get a little bit wiser in these things, and I realize that unless I'm healthy, I'm certainly not going to be wealthy. Health is wealth, folks. We know it, but how much of us are taking time out to ensure that we spend time out to understand ourselves as individuals? For me, prayer and meditation as a Christian is super important, but also physical exercise. Spend that time in the morning. I know if I don't do this stuff in the morning, it ain't going to happen during the day. I've got, UK stuff in the day, and then in the evening, I'm talking to my colleagues and my team in the US. All those things, I'm not going to have time to do, a gym, whatever it is. So How do I focus? Do I get a little gym at home, or do I make sure that I'm also out the door of crack of dawn to get to the local gym? So I make sure I force myself because I'm paying for a service to get it done. All those things are super important, but you've got to get yourself into a routine. You've got to be the best version of yourself, and that includes eating well, sleeping well, and just taking time out for yourself to ensure that you're able to function at a high level, because people are looking to us, folks, as leaders. They're looking to us to ensure that we're able to help move their organizations forward. So please really be cognizant of that and do some changes necessary to be the best version of yourself going forward. And the final aspect is about family and friends. And I make my own mistakes. I always said to my wife the other day, you know what? I don't mind spending money on certain things because I know it's a memory that you'll have with me for a lifetime. And I think, we sometimes think that we're building all this wealth and activity. Yes, it'd be lovely to do some things and whatever it is. But the bottom line, we're not going to take it with us, folks. So create some memories today. Do some exciting stuff with family and friends. And, when you may have heard of this book, in fact, from Bronnie Ware, and she says that the top 5 regrets of the dying. And it's a really poignant book, but it brings it home in terms of, sometimes we're doing all this stuff. We're working these long hours as business leaders and entrepreneurs, but we forget to understand that, at the end of the day, on our deathbed, and we'll all go there. I'm sorry about bringing that whole subject up on this podcast, but the bottom line is that these 5 things are going to be, the things that most people will say on their last breath. I wish I had the courage to live a true life to myself. I wish I didn't have to work so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I had let myself be happier. They're really poignant and sobering, to hear. And sometimes we miss out because we're so wedded to the business. We're so wanting it to succeed and do well. Well, when it succeeds, then I'll be able to slow down. No, you will not slow down. I've done it. I've been nearly, when I was in my one time, 10 years ago, I was nearly 6 foot under because I thought I just work 12, 14 hours a day, don't have any breaks, don't have water, don't have, proper food and nutrition and blah, blah, blah. Didn't do hardly any exercise or no exercises. And it's a spiral down. Health is wealth. And more importantly, get the balance right, which allows you to have time with family and friends and to fill your soul with laughter and happiness and big memories of activity that you do together. So, so I hope that just helps to just paint a picture for you in terms of what you're going to do differently next year that you didn't do this year to be the best version of yourself for you for 2025. Right, I think we're done. Got a few some bits and pieces of housekeeping, but if there's any questions, love to hear from you. From the chat. Appreciate I've gone through so much information. There's a QR code there which you can click, and that will give you access to me and all the products and assets and services that we have in the organization. So avail yourself of that. Take a click. And I hope to hear from you as well going forward as well. In relation to some bedtime reading or good little gift on Christmas, our book's available on Amazon, on Kindle, and Audible. So so if you want to have something which is a really nice, easy read, you'll read it within 2 or 3 days. Get yourself some information that will just spark your interest. As one person said, this book is not foo-foo. This is not fluffed out, padded out book. It's really, really cram-packed with real principles of people who have moved our businesses and some of the principles and systems that we've used with our clients to move their business forward aggressively. Include some case studies of showing those principles working. So it's not a matter of theory, little theory here and there. This is real life stuff that you see going forward as well. So available, and I said book, Audible, and if you'd like to hear my sultry tones, it's on Kindle as well. So Audible as well. Kindle, obviously, but Audible as well, where you had the voice version, which you can listen in the car going forward as well. And to prove that this is no nonsense book, James Holland, director of our fast growing NSP cases, he bought a copy of the book. I think his wife gave him some Christmas vouchers, and he was able to get a copy of the book with some other business books. Read it, was so enamored with some of the principles in it. He reached out to us as an organization, and we're working with him to this day, really. So again, it just demonstrates that, you know, this is not something that is like hairy fairy. This is a real practical help to your business going forward as well. So we're nearly done. I did promise, didn't I? I'll give you a little gift, a little Merry Christmas gift, didn't I? I did promise that. So that's what I'm going to share with you. We have another asset in our business. It's a business growth strategy and execution course. It's 50% off. Am I nice? Am I nice? But you got to use the code Christmas50. Christmas50. It's case sensitive as well. So take a screenshot, take a camera shot, wherever it is. Go to the website, www.wsqsolutions.com/business/course. But again, it's on the website as well that you can have the link to. But use the code and you get 50% off the course, which is a series of like 15 hours worth of real in-depth. Some of the stuff that we talked about goes into a lot more depth, some case studies, some narrative, and more important, stuff that you can also download and take away as well and utilize in your business. So please, really super course. I'm really proud to have done it. And it's there for you to utilize and to move you to grow your business forward. And the nice thing about it, I always say to people that it helps you when you're in the car. You can just listen to the stuff and get some information and knowledge and improve yourself as a leader going forward as well. So we are done. Please subscribe if you want to hear more about the podcast. We've done a lot this year, more than we did when we first started in 2023. I'd love to do a little bit more next year. It's been a great blast. I've had some fantastic guests. So again, thank you for all the guests who have come onto our podcast for the year. It's been exciting. Some fabulous topics. If you go to our YouTube page on W Square Solutions, you're able to download and listen to again the myriad of podcasts and different subjects that we are covering. We're going to be doing so much more next year. So again, if you want to be aware of what those things are, subscribe. Like the bell, it's a big thing for YouTube. They just want to bring the message out to a little bit more. So please just help us to do that. But I really just wish you and your family a fantastic 2025. Remember the reason for the season? Our child, Jesus Christ, came into the world to save men for eternity. So I'd love you to enjoy those times. I appreciate it's not always the same and difficult for a lot of people, and for you, I wish you a lot of peace and comfort, especially if you're going through difficult times over this Christmas. But we're here for you. Reach out if you need to. Love to talk to you and share more about you. But again, have a great Christmas with your family and friends. And thank you again. I really do appreciate you listening to our time today. Thank you very much.